Hi, my name is Melanie Thorley and I'm a solicitor at MJT Law. Today we're going to talk about how to ask for a pay rise. Ooh, scary subjects. It's scary because actually employees don't have a lot of bargaining power and they really feel like their employer is sitting on, this sort of pedestal and is, you're doomed to ask. It is actually okay to ask for a pay rise, but on the flip side, it's probably important for you to understand that sometimes you might hear no. It's going to be really disappointing for you. I absolutely understand that, but sometimes an employer might just say no. Yeah. If they adversely treat you because you're asking for a pay rise, it's a whole new story, and we would definitely encourage you to talk to us about that. Okay, so how to do it? Now, it's a really big question, and it's actually a really good one. The first thing you need to think about is the employer making money? Yeah, it's no point asking for a pay rise if they're making people redundant. Yeah, so think about that first. Then think about your job in general. What sort of role do you have? And what does that role normally pay out there in the industry? Now, if you work in Sydney, you're going to get paid a different amount of money than if you're working in Brisbane. So also stop and think about where you're working. If you're out regional, there might be some different pay scales to say city jobs. So that's the first thing to remember. The second thing to think about is how well you're doing at that job and how long you've been there. You may have been there 2 years, or you may have been there 2 months. You could have been there 20 years. So stop and think about how long you've been there for and whether it's reasonable to ask for a pay rise at this time. And the next thing to think about is what the pay rise might be for you. What does it mean to you? What are you asking for? For instance, you may not have had a pay rise in 4 years, and CPI increases. So technically, you're decreasing in pay, not increasing in pay. So one thing to think about is maybe you will ask for a pay rise that's in line with the CPI increases. Yep. If you're going to do that, I would definitely recommend that you don't wait too long to ask, because as the years go by, that increase is going to look pretty big after a while. So probably just, pop it to them each year or every couple of years to see how the business is running. Then once you have an idea of the role you're doing, where you're doing it, what the pay scale is for that role, whether you're doing a really good job or not, and how long you've been there for, the next thing to do is put a case forward. It could be that you are a really loyal employee, you always turn up on time, you're always there late, and actually the employer really appreciates that, but they're just forgetting about you. So you use that and you leverage off that. It could be that, for instance, in law firms, we bill on the unit, we bill on the billable hour. So, and the thing to think about for an employee there is an employer likes to see the employee getting paid and they're earning 3 times their pay. That's because you've got to cover the pay and the admin to that pay, and then you want profit. So for instance, if you're getting paid 50 grand a year and you are only billing 100 grand a year, then actually you're losing the company money. If you are, and so asking for a pay rise is probably a bad idea. But if you're earning 50 grand a year and you're billing 200 or 250 grand a year, then you might want to even that out a little bit and ask for a pay rise. I don't know what that pay rise might look like. I'd be very cautious about asking for a 30 grand pay rise, but certainly put it out there and just say, hey, look, because remember, you're looking at the industry, you're looking at the job you're doing, you're looking at how well you're doing it, you're looking at where you're doing it, and you're looking at how much money you're making the company or how much benefit you're giving the company. You may not be a fee earner, but you might be a worker bee, and being a worker bee is so important to companies. So you've got to show your importance, and by doing that, you're going to put together a case to it. You're going to do a business case, and that's not going to be a really scary thing. You just put together a few things, have them written down for you, and then you talk to them. When is a good time? Well, I always say no time's a good time, so that means all time's a good time. Everyone's really busy, everyone doesn't want to hear about money, so you just put your best foot forward. You think of a time that's going to be really great. Probably don't pick a time when the boss has just turned up to work, said he had no sleep last night because his kids were crying all night. Probably not a good time to ask for it 5 minutes before you go on a holiday. Just think of try and pick a good time to go in terms of appropriate time. and just put that best foot forward. Be really positive, but just remember you still might hear no. If you hear no, think about that and what that might mean to you, because it could be that you've got yourself all worked up and if I hear no again, I'm going to quit. Well, I certainly wouldn't express that to your employer. Once your employer thinks that you're on your way out, there may be less promotional opportunities for you. Yeah. If you're getting frustrated at work, have a think about why and stop and figure out how you might be able to solve that. But on the pay rise thing, I'm a business owner. If someone came to me with a business idea about why they should be entitled to a pay rise, I'm a pretty reasonable person, I think. Certainly listen to it. It still might be no, but it might be a yes. I reckon you should give it a punt. Best of luck with that, and thank you for watching.